Hi guys, I'm here for Pet Cancer Awareness Month because November is a big month for pet holidays and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. A couple of world-renowned veterinarians and animal scientists got together and made the documentary The Truth About Pet Cancer, which I posted a picture of earlier today. I watched all of the several parts and I wanted to tell you the highlights of what I found. There's a lot of really interesting things that they found out, but I did know some of the things that they found, but just the fact that they are announcing these findings to everyone who sees it is a really, really big deal because people really need to know. One of the people who did it was Dr. Karen Becker, who is a veterinarian in the States, who does the Healthy Pets section of Dr. Mercola's newsletter. If you haven't heard of her, she has some very, very good content. Actually, one of the, I believe it's the pet toothpaste recipe I just put on my new website that I put up, is from her. She's very, very knowledgeable and always open to holistic approaches, which is one of the reasons I love her. Rodney Habib is one of the other people. He does a lot about nutrition, and he did a previous documentary, The Truth About Dog Cancer specifically, but this one covers cats and dogs. But here are some of the interesting facts you probably didn't know about pet cancer. The first is that they did studies on tumors caused by vaccines, and there's actually remnants of the vaccine in the tumor. So they did studies on dogs that developed tumors and noticed ones at specific injection sites, such as the shoulder and around the arms. They would develop tumors in the spots where the pets got the injections, meaning that the vaccines caused the tumors because there was still remnants of the vaccine in the tumor. So that was pretty interesting. I mean, I was never big on vaccines, but just the fact that they found that Kaya, I'm pretty sure she's due for her rabies soon, but now I don't know if I want her to have it. Definitely not. Definitely vaccines are something that every pet parent should look into before just deciding to do or not do it. Everyone should know what they're getting into. The second is that there are over 60,000 toxins in tap water. So if you give your pet tap water, they can develop several symptoms and get over toxinated. I actually had a case, I was talking to a lady yesterday, and there's 3 dogs on her farm, and they all developed symptoms of over toxicity, but there was nothing in their environment. But they live on a farm at the top of the hill, and one of the neighboring ones, they said because there's so much rainfall, they're more likely to use fungicides, which they haven't used in the last few years, because none of her other dogs had developed over toxicity symptoms. But because the wind would have pushed it up the hill and it would have settled on their lawn, all the dogs that are rolling in the grass would have developed symptoms of the toxicity. So that was really interesting for me, but this is just from tap water. So if you give your pet tap water, try filtered water, or even attaching the filter to the tap so that it comes out. At least it's getting filtered once. It's a lot better than not filtered at all, but most of the time we drink at least 1 or 2 time filtered water. So that's something else to think about. Two out of every 3 pet parents over-vaccinate their pet. Now, teeter test is something that I've talked about before, and basically it tests for the presence of the antibodies from the vaccine they've already had to see if it's still in their system. And most of the time the vaccine's still there, but you don't have to get your pet revaccinated every year. Usually they have them closer together than they need to be, and this is how pets develop vaccinosis. Dry pet food, even the highest high quality, even those recommended by veterinarians, are 40 to 60% sugar. So all that content that is, I'm going to talk about grain-free in a minute, but all of the starches and the carbs that are in there get converted to sugar in your pet's body. So if they're eating a food that is majority carb-based, they're just going to get sugar and sugar and sugar. And it's the same way with our bodies. If we eat junk food repeatedly as every single meal, then we're going to get sick too. The pet food company reps are the ones that teach vet students, and they actually give them a free bag of dog food every month to try and convince them to buy their product, and then recommend it to their clients once they become a fully licensed vet, which is something that's absolutely despicable in my opinion, because they should be allowed to make their own decisions and not have the chemically laden dog food that will eventually give them more clients by making their pet sick. So, sterilizing is much, much better than spaying and neutering. This is when they don't remove the sex organs, but they sterilize instead. And this is because the cancer rates are higher in pets that are spayed and neutered compared to those that are sterilized. Now, sterilization is a process that not a lot of vets know how to do and are open to yet. It's still up and coming, but if you can, try and find a vet who is open to it and talk to them about it, because it's a really important decision. There is a 60% increase in bladder cancer from pets that have been given flea and tick, the topical one, especially the one in between the shoulders. It invades their system. It's the same, it's overtoxic. You're basically giving them chemicals. And those that have flea tick collars, that's the exact same thing. There are so many natural flea and tick remedies that are better than the topical, and you're not going to poison your pet with it. So realistically, that's something else. I'll try and put something about it on my website because I know I haven't got that far yet. You can use essential oils for insecticide, which I've talked about before, but I'll try and get some recipes up for you guys. I did host a essential oils for pets class where we made spray bottles with different things, and one of them was flea and tick. And I actually have a few small bottles over there. One of the big pet food trends is ketosis, which is when the liver produces ketones, and it's caused by low-carb diets, which is when the liver produces those ketones. And it's typically a high-fat diet. And ketoacidosis is from typically with pets with diabetes, but it's different from nutritional ketosis. Nutritional ketosis is basically when your body goes into starvation mode, and it's actually, according to the documentary, it's good for you, and it's good for pets with cancer because it starves the cells that really, really need sugar. Ketones are anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer, so when your body starts releasing all of these things, it actually helps to kill the cells, the cancer cells. Now, they talked about the combination of a ketogenic diet, which is when the body produces the ketones, and a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. They have an institute in Texas called Keto Pet, which I've actually talked about before. If you haven't seen it, look it up. They rescue dogs and treat those with cancer. You can email them directly and ask them questions. They're really, really great about that. But lots of new resources for you guys. Avoid lawns with pesticide. A lot of times we're walking along the sidewalk and I see dogs walking on lawns with pesticide with the little symbol spiked in the grass, and I stop the people and I say, you probably shouldn't walk your dog on this lawn if you see the sign, just because they absorb everything so through their feet, and that's really, really toxic to them. Okay. Another big controversial topic is cannabis for pets. So the cannabis actually stops cancer growth. It stops the growth of new blood vessels, which is how the tumor roots itself in, and it stops the specific protein that cancer uses to invade other tissues and organs. So, I know a lot of people are skeptical about it, but when it comes to your pet, most people are willing to try just about everything, and rather that than give them chemo that eventually kills them. So just something to think about. You can also use cryosurgery, which is when you freeze the tissue so it stops growing, and remove, and then the leftover, if they can't get all of it out, it turns into scar tissue rather than leaving a tiny bit of the tumor and then it comes back. The emotions also affect the strength of the immune system, and they pick up our emotions. So if we have specific issues about parts of our body, they're more likely to develop tumors on that part of their body. So for example, if I was really uncomfortable about, my arms, then they would be more uncomfortable about their arms if they're sensitive to that energy. Some pets are, some pets aren't. I know when Kaya's stomach gets upset, sometimes my stomach gets upset and the other way around. But we're pretty close. So again, that depends. This is one interesting thing that actually made me quite angry. When you talk to pet pharmaceutical companies and those that make drugs for cancer and veterinarians, these are the non-holistic veterinarians. Their initial response to the increase in cancer rates was they live longer because of the meds that we give them. So of course they're going to develop more cancer. But then they're the ones pushing the chemically laden food that actually gives them the cancer and the meds that subsequently make their immune systems completely depleted. So I could rant about that for a while. But I'll try not to talk about it too much longer. We're almost through my little notes here. Hormone disruption is one of the main causes of cancer. So those that take hormone regulators, there's a lot of drugs that help to regulate hormones. It can be a really big problem. So if there's a holistic way to do it, that's definitely the way to go. A lot of times sleep cycle is really important. So if you're not getting a lot of sleep, your immune system's depleted, your body's hormone cycle is completely irregular, and it throws off your entire system. So making sure that you and your pets get consistent sleep is really important. Vets are not trained on preventatives. They interviewed vets from all over the world, and they all admitted that they're trained how to treat the conditions and how to prescribe medication for the conditions. But they're not treated on how to prevent them from occurring in the first place. So that's something else to think about. The cancer rates in pets are actually higher than in humans. Right now, 1 in 1.65 dogs and 1 in 3 cats are likely to get cancer, which is, if you have 2 dogs in your house, one of them is likely to get cancer at some point, unless you're very on top of their holistic food and their exercise and all of the things like that. But those are absolutely staggering rates. And Dr. Karen Becker used the word epidemic a few times in the documentary, and I agree with her that it's a vicious cycle the same way it is for people, where all the advertisements promote fast food, and then people get sick, and then the drug companies prescribe more things that make people more sick. So it's all a money game to a lot of people, but do your research, do what's best for your pet. But if you do have a pet with cancer and you want to talk to me about any of the things that I just talked about, or if you have questions, feel free to message me at any time. I am off. Let's see what time it is. I have a lady coming by shortly, and then I have to go take Kaya out for a little adventure today. But I hope you're having a lovely Tuesday. It's Tuesday today. At least it's nice and sunny. Hope you're enjoying your November. I will be back later this month to talk about pet diabetes. So if you have a pet with diabetes, that's something else to consider. There's a lot of holistic options for balancing hormones that way. But I hope you have a lovely Tuesday and rest of your week, and I will talk to you later.